Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to tear up the traditional rulebook for how you're supposed to study philosophy. We'll be diving into a fascinating method based on the work of Olavo de Carvalho that completely reframes how to approach the great thinkers. So let's just kick things off with a big question. What's the best way to really get inside the minds of Plato, Aristotle, and all the other giants of thought? I mean, do you just start at the beginning and read them one by one chronologically? Well, the answer might actually surprise you. That common method, studying author by author in historical order, turns out it's a trap. It can actually stop you from achieving a true understanding of what they were really trying to say. So, what's the big deal? What's so wrong with the historical method? Well, it makes this one huge fundamental mistake. It treats philosophy like it's literature. But here's the thing. They are completely different animals. Think about it. A work of literature, right? Like the collected plays of Shakespeare. That's a complete, self-contained universe. But a philosophical work is, well, it's never really finished. It's more like a snapshot of an ongoing investigation into a real problem. A search that only ends when the philosopher, dies. The text itself is just a pretext. And you know what? History gives us this perfect, almost symbolic clue right from the get-go. With the two greatest ancient philosophers, our picture is fundamentally incomplete. For Plato, we have his popular public-facing works, but his deeper oral teachings are totally lost. With Aristotle, it's the exact opposite. We have his super dense lecture notes, but his popular works have just vanished. It's as if one is missing its head and the other is missing its body. Kind of wild, right? So, what this all means is that when you study a philosopher, you're not just chasing the text. You are chasing the philosophe. That's the entire structure of their argument, the whole thought, which almost never fits neatly into their published books. Okay, so if we don't study chronologically by author, how should we study? Well, the answer is simple, powerful, and honestly, it changes everything. We study by problems. Choose a question that truly matters to you, an existential problem that you actually need an answer to. It could be about the nature of reality or justice or consciousness. Then you follow the trail of that single question all the way through the centuries. Your goal is to reconstruct what's called the status questionis, which literally just means the state of the question. This means you're mapping out the entire history of the debate around your chosen problem, all the major contributions, the detours, the arguments, the whole shebang. Now, this is a really crucial distinction. Reconstructing the status questionis isn't like finding the state of the art where you just buy the latest iPhone and forget the old ones. No, it's the opposite. It's like having to own every single computer ever made, because in philosophy you simply can't understand the latest answer without understanding the entire conversation that led to it. The power of this method is that you're not just reading old books. You are entering a real-time conversation with the most intelligent people who ever tackled that problem. You're guaranteeing that you are operating on solid ground in the best possible company. But, and this is a big but, as you start on this path, there's a very common and dangerous trap you need to avoid, especially in the beginning. The biggest trap for any beginner is the false analogy. You see a connection between two ideas that look similar but are fundamentally different. It's a classic case of what this Portuguese expression says, parece, mas não é. It seems like it, but it isn't. Here's a perfect example. A student noticed a similarity between physicist David Bohm's concept of a seamless totality in the quantum universe and philosopher Louis Level's idea of total presence. I mean, they sound the same, right? But Bohm is describing a closed physical system, just one part of reality. Level is talking about being itself, an infinite open totality that includes the physical universe and everything else. They aren't even talking about the same thing. So to avoid this kind of amateur mistake, you have to first master the direct lineage of a question. Stick to the authors who are actually in conversation with each other. Only after you've developed a keen sense for what's truly relevant should you start looking for inspiration in more distant fields. Now, following this method does more than just organize your reading. When you trace a single problem through centuries of thought, you begin to see time differently. You're no longer just following a timeline, you're uncovering something timeless. Our modern experience often frames time as this destructive force. The past is gone forever, the future isn't here yet, and the present is just this fleeting moment. In this view, our own identity feels unstable, like smoke disappearing into the air. What holds it all together? But there is another way to perceive time, and this is illustrated by a really powerful personal story from our source text. It happens during a moment of prayer. While praying for forgiveness for sins committed over a lifetime, he suddenly perceived all his past selves, the child of 5, the teenager, the man of 40, not as distant memories, but as present and real, all praying together with him. The boy who committed the sin and the old man asking for forgiveness were both there, simultaneously. Now, how is this possible? Because he was addressing a being who exists outside of linear time. This experience reveals the classical understanding of eternity. You see, eternity isn't just time going on forever. It's a higher dimension where all moments, past, present, and future, exist simultaneously. It is the true structure that contains and gives meaning to our experience in time. This perspective on time is the key to the ultimate goal of not just philosophy, but of any true intellectual pursuit. It's really the final step to unlocking a different level of comprehension. The principle is this: to truly understand anything, an event in history, a scientific discovery, or your own life, you have to see it sub specie aeternitatis, from the perspective of eternity. It's about grasping its place not just in a sequence of events, but in the timeless, unified whole. So let's bring it all together. The path is clear. First, you ditch the simple historical timeline. Second, you chase a single, vital problem through its entire history, reconstructing the status quo. And finally, you learn to see that entire conversation from the higher vantage point of eternity. When you adopt this perspective, the study of philosophy is no longer a dry academic exercise. It becomes a living tool for understanding your own place in the great unfolding drama of the human search for meaning. So the question isn't just what you should read, but what enduring conversation is your life an answer to?